This is an ad by BetterHelp. What are your self-care non-negotiables? It's hard to make time for the things that keep you healthy, but being consistent with self-care is like working a muscle. And when life gets crazy, that muscle keeps you strong. Therapy is the ultimate self-care, and BetterHelp makes it easy to get started with affordable online sessions you can do from anywhere. Never skip therapy day with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com today to get 10% off your first month.
We acknowledge the traditional owners of country throughout Australia and recognise their continuing connection to land, waters and culture. We pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging. Welcome to This Song Is Yours, a podcast where we dive deep into the world of songwriting and music. I'm your host, Simon Fink, and today we've got a huge episode for you. Our guest is none other than country music superstar Lainey Wilson. Fresh off of honouring Miley Cyrus with a Hannah Montana cover and also making waves on Post Malone's brand new country-inspired record, F1 Trillion, Lainey is here today to celebrate the release of her brand new album, Whirlwind. This marks her fifth studio record and comes hot on the heels of her Grammy-winning album, Bell Bottom Country. Whirlwind is a collection of incredibly personal songs that showcase Lainey's unique voice and heartfelt songwriting. Now, in today's episode, we chat with Lainey about the making of Whirlwind and why this record is so close to her heart. We delve into her songwriting process and how she decides which tracks make the final cut. We also discuss the current resurgence of country music in the mainstream and get her thoughts on the genre's growing popularity. We want to say a massive thank you to Jaja for her help with today's episode and remind everyone to grab a copy of Lainey's new album, Whirlwind. You can find all the details on where to buy it in today's show notes. And don't forget to visit our website and subscribe to this very podcast for more great content and future guests. Again, details are all in the show notes. But let's get on with it. Here is our conversation with Lainey Wilson. Please welcome to This Song Is Yours, number one country superstar, Lainey Wilson. Hello, Lainey. How's it going?
It's going great. I'm excited to talk to you.
I'm very excited to talk to you, especially at the moment as there's so much going on in your world. There's a brand new record, Whirlwind, coming out later this week. Firstly, congratulations on this record. How are you feeling with this album coming out?
I'm so excited. I mean, it's truly been a labor of love, and I'm excited to share it with the world. I mean, we've worked really hard on this thing, and the last couple of years for us has been nothing but a whirlwind. I mean, it's been moving 90 to nothing in the best kind of way, lots of ups and downs, and trying to keep my feet on the ground. I feel like my life has changed, but I still feel the same. And just making this record brought me a lot of peace and comfort, and I hope when people hear it, they feel the same.
I absolutely love that. I know this is the fifth record for yourself. There's still, I imagine that there are still an element of like nerves and anxiety when it comes to putting new music out into the world and how it's going to be received.
Yeah, the funny thing is, when I was writing and recording this record, I didn't have any nerves at all. I still know deep down that this is truly the best stuff that I've ever done. I think I've grown a lot since Bell Bottom Country, and as a singer, songwriter, person, all of it. But I think it's kind of like getting ready to send your 4-year-old off to school. It's like you're like ready for him to get out of the house, and then the closer it gets, you start kind of getting a little bit nervous. That's what somebody told me the other day. They were like, here's a great parallel. But yeah, that's kind of how it feels. It's a little bit more excitement, I guess, than nervousness. But I think this record is going to definitely cause more of a whirlwind than it's already been.
Look, we were very lucky enough to been able to have a listen to it before it's come out, and I would agree it is a fantastic record. I think that you're about to find yourself in a much bigger whirlwind in the next 12 months due to this record. So I think in some press in support of this upcoming record, you mentioned that it's your most cathartic record as well, that it was kind of the most personal. I'm curious for you, can you talk to that? Why was it any different from that previous record? Was it the process? Was it just where you find yourself now in 2023 and 2024 when it was recorded?
I feel like I've shared a lot of me with a lot of people, but I still feel like there was parts of me that I needed to find along the way. And I think since we put out Bell Bottom Country, that's what I've done. I mean, I've met so many different types of people from so many different walks of life. I have played country music all over the world. And when you meet people, you learn a lot about them, but you also learn a lot about yourself. And I think I just needed to live a little bit more life. And so, I think meeting more people makes me a better storyteller, makes me a better songwriter. Pulled back the layers. I'm getting to write about love and really mean it. And it's a great feeling. It's a great feeling to be able to kind of like share more of yourself and say it out loud, I guess,
100%. For you, because we know that you're absolutely kind of crazy busy these days. As you've said, you've been touring the world this year. I know that you visited us in Australia earlier in the year. I know that, it just kind of seems like it's go, go, go for yourself. What is that process like, songwriting? Are you someone who can write on the road? Do you have to have a certain environment to be able to create?
So normally I write 200 or 300 songs to get the 12 that I'm looking for. Because sometimes I feel like you got to get through the bad ones to find the good ones. But with this record, I knew that I was not going to have as much time to write several hundred songs to get the 14. I just knew it. As my job grows and changes, there's just not enough hours in the day. So it had to be a little more streamlined. It had to be like, okay, what are the things that I want to say? What are the things that I haven't said? I kind of had to like really wrap my head around what are the stories that I want to tell? And so it definitely had to be quality over quantity at this point. We didn't have time to write the bad ones to get to the good ones. So we just had to kind of keep our head down and stay focused and figure out, what other parts of the record were missing. So I think I probably wrote 50 songs to get the 14 that I got. And I feel very strong about them. And I will say, like, it was definitely pressure because I didn't have as many to choose from. But I think I do better under pressure. I can truly say this is still my best stuff.
Look, I would 100% agree with that. I had an absolute delight listening to this record, and I'm super impressed. Like, hundreds of songs is very impressive because I think some people literally write the 12 and then that's them done and dusted. So it's would love to know, maybe if we ever get you to come back on the podcast, would love to discuss the process of how you whittle it down and how you take it from 100 to 12. One song I wanted to talk about in particular, it might be a little bit selfish, but I wanted to talk about my favorite track on the record. I loved Call a Cowboy.
Love that.
Brilliant track. The way that this song builds, and then a little bit of a spoiler alert, but that belt or that high note at the end is just chef kiss. Absolutely incredible. I was wondering if you might be able to talk us through, I guess, either the inspiration of that song or kind of how that song came about.
Yeah, and I'm not sure why I hit that high note because now I have to do it every night of my life. I do that to myself, but that high note actually kind of accidentally happened. Jay, my producer, was like, just do something crazy. He said, just like do whatever. The first thing that comes to your mind, just do it. And I did that, and he was like, I think that was the take. So we ended up keeping it. But Call a Cowboy, I wrote this I actually wrote this one before Bell Bottom Country came out with what we like to call the Heart Wranglers. It's me, Dallas Wilson, and Tranny Anderson. They're the folks that I wrote Heart Like a Truck with, as well as a lot of other songs on Bell Bottom Country and on Whirlwind. But we were on a ranch out in Arizona, and we were living our best cowboy life and just had an amazing time. And we kind of started talking about what is it that makes a cowboy. It's not those things that those cliche things. You don't have to ride a horse. You don't have to wear a cowboy hat. It's about being a stand-up person and the kind of person who would give you the shirt off their back, showing up when you need them. And those are the kind of people that I like to keep in my life. So that was the story of how the song got created. But as we got into the studio, my band got to play on this record. And man, I tell you what, it's almost like my band knew exactly what we were missing from our live show without even talking about it. We were all on the same page, and they all come from different types of music, everything from pop, punk, funk, blues, Americana, anything you can possibly think of, my band has dabbled with. And so it's really cool to kind of hear all of that kind of sprinkled in at different times. And it's still a country record.
There are definitely elements of, different genres throughout this record, which I kind of love. And it kind of is a funny, I want to say almost like interpolation of what's currently going on. And I know you've almost like I want to say almost predicted it, almost kind of like what is the word? Like a future palm reader, future kind of teller. Country's Cool Again was the single that came out first from this record. And it's such a kind of barn-stomping, great track. But it is true, because I feel like in the last 12 to 18 months, country has found its way back into the mainstream more than ever. You've got country music's kind of topping the charts, yourself included, Beyonce, Post Malone, everyone's kind of taking little bits and pieces of country and putting it in their own. What do you make of that as someone who, you seem very inclusive and you seem very welcoming to all? Yeah, I guess for you, what's that like as someone who has lived and breathed country since you were little, seeing that kind of find its way back to a much larger audience?
I think it's awesome. And for anybody to think that it's not, they're crazy, because the people who are coming into country music from different genres, they're not doing anything but introducing country music to other people that maybe they thought they hated it and they just didn't know, maybe. And once you, like I said in the song, once you get bit by the bug, that's it. Because it's about the way that country music makes you feel. And for me, it makes me feel at home. And when we wrote Country's Cool Again, I had the song idea for a long time, and I was more talking about the Western way of life. I was scrolling on TikTok one day and I saw there was like a lot of kids wearing cowboy hats and riding horses and doing all those things, doing the things that I grew up doing. And I was like, man, it's pretty cool. I take a lot of pride in where I come from and the way that I was raised. And to see other people like want to be a part of that, to me, that's cool. And why wouldn't you want anybody else to feel at home if that's what makes them feel at home,
Absolutely love that. I know that a friend and mentor of yours, Miranda Lambert, also makes an appearance on this record. How did that kind of come about that she was going to play on Good Horses?
So we actually wrote the song together. She's kind of become one of those ladies for me in the industry that she'll call and check on me and be like, hey, where are you at? How's your heart? How's your mind? Just in my corner. I mean, she's got my back. And she told me, she said, I want you to come out to my farm and I want you to take a nap and we're going to cook you some supper. And she said, maybe we'll write a song. And her and I, we have a lot in common, especially when it comes to like the Western way of life. And she ended up inviting a friend of ours, Luke Dick, over, and we ended up writing the song. I had this idea for a while. Nobody would write it with me. And looking back, I'm glad they didn't, because we were supposed to write the song together. But as we were sitting there on her balcony of her cabin, 3 bluebirds flew up and landed on the balcony during the songwriting session. And her and Luke kind of looked at each other and they said that when they were writing her hit song to Bluebird, that 3 bluebirds had flew up and landed in the exact same spot. And I said, well, I believe in that kind of stuff.
That's so cool. I absolutely love that. For this record, is there, it's an extremely unfair question to ask, so please feel free to decline if you would like, because it's like almost asking like, who's your favorite child or what's your favorite whatever. But maybe we'll put a different spin on it. Is there a song you're most proud of from this record, from Whirlwind?
That's a great question. And it's a hard one, but when I think about like falling in love with country music and thinking about like growing up in the 90s, around 90s country, I felt like I knew the voices of the people on the radio. I felt like they were friends and family. And when I think about that, like the important time of music during that time for me, I think about like the storytelling aspect of it for sure. And so I think it would probably be Whiskey Colored Crayon. I think that song for me, of course, it kind of talks about like a sad situation, but those are the songs that I grew up listening to, something that kind of makes you think outside of the box, something where you could close your eyes and you could picture a 3-minute movie. And I'm just proud of how that one was created. It actually came from a word exercise that my co-writer did. He wrote a list of things I think that he hated and a list of things that you could create with. And Whiskey and Colored Crayon, he ended up pairing together. And then we created the story around it.
I absolutely love that. Thank you very much for sharing that. For this record, I know that we did see you, I believe, in March of this year, I think, in Australia. So it might be a little bit selfish to ask, but obviously we do have to. There's a number of fans here in Australia who absolutely love your music. I think that all the venues sold out after being upgraded anyway. So there's obviously a lot of love here for you. Can we maybe expect to see you back in support of the record at some point in the future?
I'm hoping so. We've actually been talking about it, talking about what touring is going to look like next year. And I fell in love with Australia. I fell in love with the people. And somebody asked me the other day, they said, where's your favorite place that you've been? And it is definitely Australia. I think I found my people over there. So as soon as we can get back, we're headed back.
Look, love to hear that. I'd spent some time in Nashville this would have maybe 2017, but there's a similarity between the people in Nashville and the people in Australia in some kind of weird way. So look, I'm glad to hear that it resonated with you.
I agree. I think it's just good people that like to have a good time.
I think that is definitely one of them, yes. Lainey, we would usually ask our guests what they're currently listening to. At the moment for yourself, is there anything that's on high rotation?
I'm listening to my friend Ella Langley. She's got that new song, Excuse Me, You Look Like You Love Me. And also listening to the Megan Maroney record, listening to a little bit of everything. My friend Hardy just put out music. It's a super rock record. Yeah, all of the above.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely love that. Look, Lainey Wilson, thank you so much for coming onto the podcast today and having a chat. Congratulations on Whirlwind, which is out later this week. But yes, thank you again for coming to have a chat.
Thank you so much, friend.
Acast powers the world's best podcasts. Here's a show that we recommend.
Hi, I'm Zibby Owens, and I am the host of the award-winning podcast, Moms Don't Have Time to Read Books. I have daily author interview podcasts, over 1,600 of them that I've recorded over the last 5 years. Hear from all your favorite best-selling authors, celebrities, and more, even if you're too busy to read the books. Moms Don't Have Time to Read Books. Again, that's Moms Don't Have Time to Read Books. Listen today.
Acast helps creators launch, grow, and monetize their podcasts everywhere. Acast.com.